Welcome, welcome, welcome to Strive Scan's virtual college exploration. My name is Margaret, and I'm one of the facilitators here with IACAC. This program is only as good as you all make it, so we do encourage you all to continue to sign up for more sessions. You can do so at iacac.org. This recording will be available to you all within a week at the same link, iacac.org. Just a couple of logistics. Your camera and microphone are off, so we cannot see you or hear you, but we hope that you engage with the panelists here today through the Q&A feature. So feel free to pop your questions within the Q&A feature throughout the presentation, and they will be able to address those. Without further ado, I am going to hand it over to our panelists for Concordia University Chicago. Thanks for joining.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Alrighty, so just give me a second here. I know some of you guys are still rolling in, just so I can do the screen share with my presentation now. Okay, awesome. So just to get us started, I know again, you guys are still rolling in here, but I do want to get started because I do want to save some time at the end for questions. So first off, thank you so much for joining us this evening to learn a little bit more about Concordia University Chicago. My name is Linda Hernandez. I am an admission counselor. I work primarily with freshmen students in the city of Chicago. I've been with Concordia for about 4 years, and I'm also an alum of the university.
Hi, my name is Bianca Ortega, and I am a transfer admissions counselor at Concordia University, Chicago. I've been here just a few months, so I'm still a newbie, but loving it over here. And I don't have a specific territory, so just transfer students. I am here and able to help, and then any freshmen along the way as well.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's just get us started. As I mentioned already, I'm an admission counselor, so is Bianca, and you all have an admission counselor. We're here to help you navigate the process from the minute you apply. Maybe we've already met you at a college fair or at a virtual visit, but we're going to guide you through the whole process till you make that decision. And if you decide to join Concordia, then we'll be with you till your first week of classes. And this is our entire team. This was this past fall's move-in here. We're all not socially distanced, but we're all wearing our masks for sure. And if you're not sure about who your counselor is, most of the time it's divided about where you live. So some of us have the specific city of Chicago, some of us have entire states. So you definitely can scan that QR code. There will be another opportunity at the end of the presentation to go ahead and find out again who your counselor is. So just a little bit about Concordia. I'm sure you guys are joining us because you either have heard of the name, maybe a teacher has mentioned it, or maybe you've gotten an email or something in the mail. But Concordia is a small private liberal arts university. We're located in River Forest, Illinois, right outside the city of Chicago, but we are still so close to the city. We have roughly about 1,500 to 2,000 undergrad students or so. We have different dorms, although for our incoming students, especially if you're like from the Chicagoland area, we don't require students to live on campus, but we do have the facilities if you do choose to live on campus. Then we have other facilities like our gym, our libraries, our lecture hall. So there's plenty of available here at Concordia for you. We have over 70 different academic programs, and so those are broken up into 3 different colleges. We have our largest one, which is our College of Art and Science. That's where you find anything like psychology, criminal justice, social work, sociology, communications. You can find all of that under that college, as well as nursing, pre-med, and other health sciences programs. Then we go into our second largest, which is our College of Education. Fun fact, Concordia actually started out as a teacher's school only. So education has remained our largest program. That's why more than likely you might have a teacher who either attended Concordia or an assistant principal or someone in your school knows about Concordia because they've done their education there. And again, in our College of Education, any grade level, any subject area, we more than likely have it. And then lastly is our College of Business. That one has anything like management, we have marketing, we have business communication, and then the really fun one in there is sports management. And that one's my personal favorite just because it's a really cool combination of sport and the business aspect of it. So kind of the best of both worlds. Again, all of our programs, there are a little over 70 different programs. They can be mixed into a major and a minor. They can do 2 double majors and a minor. So there's a lot you can play around with here at Concordia. The really awesome part about our programs as well is that more than likely they all have some type of hands-on part to your 4 years here at Concordia, or longer if you decide. That either comes in form of an internship, some type of field experience hours, some tournaments, competitions like our computer science, but we want to expose you out to your field. We want to get you some hands-on experience, and we also want to get you to start building that network, right? A lot of times in the world that we're living, it's a lot about who you know, and so we want to help you build that network community before you even graduate. We also have sports, so we're an NCAA Division III in athletics. So we have anything like your football, soccer, lacrosse, volleyball. We have men's and women's volleyball, which not a lot of schools have men's volleyball. We certainly do. And then again, some of your other ones like baseball and tennis and whatnot. We also have over 45 student-led clubs and organizations. So if you're not an athlete kind of person, there's something you can definitely join and be part of here at Concordia. We have our WIN ensembles, but we have our intramural. So maybe you do like sports, but you're not really at that competitive level, you can join our intramural. And then we have silly ones like the improv club, the cheese club, and then there are some ethnical clubs that you can join, and spiritual clubs, since Concordia is a Christian university. So you may be wondering, like, why Concordia? What makes Concordia special, right? Chicago itself has so many different universities, and so like, why would you choose Concordia? Well, here at Concordia, you come first, and that certainly was the case for me. Certainly the case for Bianca, as she is an alum as well. The small classes, that's really what sold me. You'll have a class about like 15 to 17 students on average for each professor. Some classes can be even smaller than that, and those are the ones that like were probably my favorite, just because I was able to really dive myself into that course, since it was just only a group of us. The diversity, Concordia is a Hispanic serving institution. So as you guys are going through the process, you probably heard of the Hispanic serving institutions, or the PWIs, the predominantly white institutions, or the HBCUs, right? The historically Black institutions. So again, if diversity is a big deciding factor and a big component in your college process, keep in mind that Concordia is a Hispanic serving institution, which means that about over 45% of our students on campus are from the Hispanic or Latino community. Our location, again, we're in River Forest, so we're not necessarily immersed in the big city, hectic city of Chicago, which we love, but we're right outside of the city of Chicago, so it's really nice that you kind of have that comforting, safe neighborhood, but then you have the city in your backyard, and that opens the door for internships or for a good night of deep dish pizza. You have that there in Chicago. Our community, it's small enough where you know the faces, but it's also large enough where you're going to be making new friends every semester. Again, like I mentioned, that individual attention from your professors, but also from other individuals in your support system, which I'll talk about a little later. And then the post-undergrad success. So myself, Bianca, we both are alums, and I personally graduated in May, and then in June, I already had a position available for me, because our career services just opened that door for me and really helped me advocate and brand myself well. And so again, that meant a job right after college, which I know is a little sometimes scary for a lot of us going through this process. So as I was mentioning, the support system here at Concordia, where you get that individual attention. So in advising, you'll get multiple different advisors. You'll get your academic advisor, which is kind of like your high school counselor, but then you get someone in your field. So if you're a nursing major, you're gonna get someone in the nursing department that's gonna be your advisor. We also have success coaches. So your first year here on campus, we wanna get you a success coach that's gonna guide you, that's gonna be your mentor, and then peer mentors, students that have gone through this process that you're just starting, who understand you best, are going to be working with you and in your support team as well. Then, like I was mentioning, our Student Success Center, Again, they helped me brand myself as I was gearing up for graduation and adulthood, and with my resume, with internships, with career fairs, again, helping me meet different people in my field that I had connections once I graduated. And academically, we want you to come to Concordia and have an awesome experience, but we also want you to be successful here. And so we have free tutoring, we have a writing lab. I personally utilize that now that I'm in my master's program because not always the greatest writer, and so I just need someone to look over an essay, maybe my final. So utilize all of those resources. They're there, they're free, and they're meant for you to be successful here at Concordia. So I'm going to be giving you guys little breaks along the way because I know that it is a lot of information, but this is what our campus looks like. You can see our football field. It's very green. And then again, we have our study just a few miles away from campus. We have the public transportation that runs there. We have the CTA bus, but then we also have the green line that runs there. So again, getting to the city is not a mission at all. It's super easy. Awesome. So we've been discussing what is Concordia, what Concordia can offer to you, but now we're going to dive into what next steps you have to take with Concordia. And some of you, again, might be at different levels of this process. So if you haven't applied, I encourage you and invite you to apply. Concordia's application opened up early August, and it's still available, and it will be available the rest of the year, the academic year. We don't have a deadline, so we're on a rolling admission process, which means as soon as we get your application, within about 2 weeks or so, you'll also be getting a decision back from Concordia. This year, we're test optional, so that's sometimes a very good news for a lot of our students. Again, myself wasn't the greatest test taker, and so I really appreciate a school that gives you the opportunity to showcase yourself beyond just the number on a test. So what we're really going to be diving into is your official high school transcript that can be sent through your counselor, Parchment, Naviance, just depending on what tool your school uses. But on your high school transcript, we're taking a look at your GPA. We're taking a look at those community service learning hours. That really speaks well about you as a student, willing to serve, give back, have time management, leadership skills. And then we're also taking a look at the rigorous level of your course. Did you take an honor, an AP, an IB class? We really want to compensate you and reward that, and we will weight those grades as well. So once we get your transcript, again, once we pick out some of those small details in your high school transcripts, we're able to make a decision, and then we notify you immediately. Again, it takes typically about a week or two to get that decision. In some few instances, if you're like on the edge, your admission counselor, again, because this process is very personal, we as admission counselors will reach out and say, hey, I see your grades and I see this, but can you tell me a little bit more about this aspect, or tell me a little bit more about your family? So we will really get to know you before we even make a decision if you're on the edge. So don't get too worried about what your high school transcript is showing. Still apply. And then again, let us, the admission counselors, guide you through that process here at Concordia. Last Thursday was October the 1st, which meant FAFSA. Bianca and I used to work helping students filing FAFSA, so we cannot say this and repeat this enough. It is so crucial, so essential, vital that you file your FAFSA, especially as we dive a little bit more into financial aid here at Concordia and other schools. Honestly, their FAFSA is going to be an important piece of the process. And then lastly, once you kind of checked in some of those items, make that connection with your admission counselor. Usually, as soon as you apply, we're on the phone, we're on with an email, sending you a text to start that relationship with you. But if you haven't heard from us, then definitely don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are offering virtual appointments, virtual sessions just like this one every Thursday, and then we're actually welcoming visitors on campus. So you can more than welcome to join us for a campus tour. If you want to open that application, definitely scan that QR code. You're going to notice our application is super easy. We purposely made that because we understand how busy you guys are. And so we have eliminated the letters of recommendation and the personal statements, and no fee waivers or fees at all to apply. So the application is going to take you about 10 minutes. So if you're listening, I'm going to be speaking more than 10 minutes. So by the time I finish, you'll definitely have applied to Concordia as well. Awesome. So now that you've applied, and maybe some of you guys are in this process now, where you've already applied, you send in your transcripts, and what happens next. So again, we dive into your high school transcript, we maybe make a call, send an email, get to know you a little bit better, and then we make a decision. And if you're admitted, congratulations. You've also are going to be receiving some scholarships, not one, but multiple scholarships from Concordia here. 100% of our students get some type of financial aid. We understand that financial piece is probably the most scariest. I know it was for me. And so we want to help alleviate some of that stress, some of that anxiousness that comes with this process by awarding you some merit scholarships. So first off, like I was mentioning, those grades are very important, the level of classes that you've taken, and we want to compensate your hard work. It's a lot to handle high school and an AP or an IB class. So we have an academic scholarship that ranges anywhere between 5,000 to 15,000. And then coming back to those serving learning hours, to those extracurriculars that you've been involved with. Maybe you've done National Honor Society, maybe Key Club, maybe you just play sports and you're really good at that. So we want to compensate that with our leadership scholarship. Again, that ranges between 5,000 to 10,000. And this is in combination. So all of our scholarships nicely stack up. So if you get one, it's not doesn't mean you're going to lose another one. They're just going to stack up on top of each other, again, to help lower that gap there that your family ultimately will have to pay out of pocket. So again, those two scholarships are automatic, no additional scholarships, no essays, none of that. That information will come in that big package, which means that you've been accepted, and we'll give you details about that. Again, that is something that your counselor, the minute you're admitted, we're on the phone screaming excited with you and giving you more information about these scholarships. Also, we have an award between 5 to 6 full rides and then about 1 or 2 for our transfer students. So that's our Presidential Honor Scholar Award. And that one, it is on an application basis. And typically what would happen is if you meet the qualification for that, which is typically about like above a 3.75 GPA, then we will go ahead and send out that invitation to apply. That invitation will more than likely be coming out between January and February, and then we will notify you about that between March and April. So just kind of be on the lookout if you have that academic criteria that you are eligible and will be invited to apply for that full ride scholarship here at Concordia. Then we have some other specific awards. So we have our, because again, Concordia is a Christian university, we have students that come from Christian schools. And so we want to compensate you for that. We have students that want to go into church professional work. And so that might be deaconess, that might be pre-seminary work. And so we want to also support that with a scholarship. Music scholarships, again, if you are a singer or if you play an instrument, please don't be afraid to audition for a music scholarship. Again, these only stack up, which continue to help lower that gap at the end that your family will have to pay. And lastly, probably my favorite scholarship is our first generation student scholarship. This is for my trailblazers out there. First off, congrats to you guys. It's a very challenging process as it is, but being a first gen gives it that extra little level of just anxiety and maybe difficultiness. And we want to compensate you for that. We understand, again, this process is new to you, but you're setting that way for your family and for the others to come. So we want to reward you for being a first gen and for taking that step. So there is a first generation student scholarship. Then we also do have other scholarships, which I repeat, and I will probably repeat another 5 times, your FAFSA and your FAFSA. We have specific FAFSA scholarships, so that's why it's important that you follow your FAFSA. We also have housing scholarships, and we have additional need-based scholarships. So again, it's very important that you apply to Concordia, that you get admitted, and then that you also follow up with that FAFSA. If you're a student that you're like, I'm ahead of the game, I've done everything I needed to do, more than likely our award letters will start coming out to you guys and your families probably sometime between Thanksgiving break and winter break is when we will start sending out those award letters that kind of break it down in detail, how much financial aid you're going to be receiving, what's the out-of-pocket cost, and then that conversation starts with your counselor, either over the phone, in person, virtually. We discuss that award letter to make it as affordable as possible for you and your family along the way. See, I'm telling you guys, I will continue to remind you about FAFSA. We also do take the alternative application. So if you're a student of transgender or undocumented, that alternative application is also very key, especially because Concordia is in Illinois, so you will be eligible for the MAP grant if you file that alternative application. Each school has their own FAFSA code, so Concordia's is on the screen. Make sure you either scan the QR code, take a picture, but file your FAFSA, guys. I cannot stress that enough, especially because if you applied, been accepted, but don't file your FAFSA, then we can get that award letter out to you guys so we get that FAFSA. Because again, we want to award you with all of the financial aid possible to help lower that cost even more. And then the last piece is those on-campus jobs. So we do have plenty on-campus jobs, whether it be through work study or Concordia hiring directly from the institution. There are plenty of jobs you can do on campus. There are jobs such as in our gym. So if you're someone who likes to work out and wants to work in a gym, you can do that. We have the library, the bookstore. You could be a tour guide in our office, in the undergrad admission office. We also have an early childhood center on campus. So if you like kids, you could definitely take advantage of spending some time with those little ones on campus. And again, this is additional money that gets paid directly to you guys and doesn't get applied to your bill unless you choose to focus it directly to your bill. But otherwise, it's extra spending cash that's not going to affect like your FAFSA the following years or none of that. Awesome. So I've given you guys so much information. I'm sorry. I know it's a little later in the day. You guys probably had a long day of Zoom classes, but it's all very important information. Again, a lot of it also can be applied to other universities as you're going through this college process. But just at this moment, I want to give you guys a minute to maybe drop some questions in the chat box for us about anything that we covered, something we haven't covered maybe. But then here's another snap of our campus. Again, you can see our football field. The main building here is our Concordia Hall. So touching a little bit about the residential piece, again, we don't require our students to live on campus, but if you do want to live on campus, we have a variety of different dorm styles. So we have your traditional dorm with you and your roommate. We have the suite style, so it's you, your roommate, and then you guys share the bathroom with 2 other individuals, and then our apartment style. So our apartment style is a nice transition from those traditional dorms to apartment without necessarily having to leave campus and pay a rent and pay your own bills, because that still gets covered under your tuition, and you'll get free meals still on campus and all of that. And then we have our parking lot. So if you're a commuter and because you're from the city of Chicago or somewhere local by, you are always welcome to bring a car on campus. I believe that this year it's going to cost about like $150 for the entire year. So it's not expensive to drive your car, but again, we have the public transportation, CTA, bus, and train there available, or you can Uber it to campus if you choose to Uber it to campus as well. And then here you can see our science building, you can see our gym, our fields, and then you can see like our library and other buildings on campus. All around the radius is about a mile or so. So it's a pretty cozy school if that's of your liking, but it's still far enough where like it's gonna take you maybe 3 to 5 minutes to get to class. Awesome. And as we're talking about campus, I do want to give you guys a sneak peek of campus so that you guys get more excited to want to come to visit us. And just give me 1 second. And then also use this it's about a minute or so, this short little video. Use this minute to ask some questions or just drop some ideas, something that we didn't cover in my presentation. is another really cool video that you guys can check out in our YouTube page. That one was a nice little cute message that was made for our this past year's incoming freshmen. So with that being said, I will leave this here again. Oh no, sorry about that, guys. There you go. So again, that kind of wraps up our presentation about Concordia Chicago. Again, I know that was a lot of information. So if you still have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to our Office of Undergrad Admission, or you can scan again one more time that QR code to find out who your admission counselor is specifically. And then follow us on Instagram. I know you guys are on social media, no denying that. So follow us on Instagram as well. We have takeovers. We share important news on there. We just kind of give you some fun stuff happening on campus to get you excited for when you're here at Concordia. So definitely get in touch with us. We would love to be in touch with you as well. Like I mentioned, again, we have virtual visits, we have virtual appointments, and we're also welcoming visitors on campus. We're taking all of the precaution needed, but we would love you to come on campus. And this is kind of like a free tip here. Go and if the schools that you're looking at are offering visits, go and do those visits, because it's just better to be on campus and get that actual sensation of what it would be like on campus. So at this time, are there any questions? Bianca, any questions coming in that I can answer out loud? Maybe others are having that question.
No questions coming in yet, but
Okay.
so feel free. Like Linda, I mentioned, we were both alum, and I was first generation student too. So if you guys even just want like perspective and how, like our journeys were like, so we are happy to help.
Yeah. And also, since like Bianca mentioned, she is our transfer counselor, if maybe you're listening to this or as you're going through the process and you end up happening to go to a community college, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a very good choice for a lot of our students as well. And you'll just come back later and get to work with Bianca. But we do welcome transfer students in the fall semester and the spring semester. So maybe you want to take a gap semester or a gap year. Then when you come back, then you work with our transfer and our spring counselors like Bianca. Any questions? Bianca, can you read that aloud for me?
Oh, yes. It is, I know this doesn't just apply to Concordia, but do you guys have any websites or sources we can use to apply for scholarships?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I'm gonna remove this one just because I did want to leave some room at the end for questions. So I went ahead and hid this slide, but I could definitely share it with you guys. These are some of our favorite websites. College Greenlight, I stand by it, I love it. College Greenlight is really cool actually because you create a profile, you put your specific information, and then it matches you with scholarships that only apply to you. So that way you're not looking through a long list of scholarships. But definitely here is some of our recommendations. Asking in your community, asking in your church. One of my favorite things is for parents to ask their employers. A lot of times those employers also offer scholarships for their employees' children and whatnot. So I'll leave this up for a little bit longer. That's a very good question. Any other questions? Again, it doesn't have to be about Concordia related. It can be a general question like that as well. Well, while we wait for some questions, Bianca, why don't you tell us what your favorite part about Concordia was?
So my favorite part was definitely Concordia so I'm pretty introverted, and Concordia really helped me come out of my shell. So I was also a transfer student, so it's nice that I'm kind of a transfer counselor now. But so I had, big anxiety. I wasn't knowing what I was doing, but it was really just, you kind of find your niche right away, which is really nice. So I joined a sport. I joined cross country, and right away, like on my floor, there was someone who was like, "Oh, do you want to go to just like 7-Eleven?" Which 7-Eleven is also one of my favorite things because it's also right around the corner. So I would reward myself with like a Slurpee and some chips when I finished my homework. But Yeah, definitely. I think just like the extracurriculars that Concordia offers was really beneficial to me and like my person as a whole that I am today. And yeah, I ended up being a resident assistant. And I just did a lot of things that I feel like high school Bianca would have been like, oh, like she would never, like college Bianca could never. So yeah, definitely all the extracurriculars at CUC. And the fact that you also, if there's not a certain club or something for you, you're kind of able to go ahead, and if you have like a nice like group of people that are into, like I think my junior or senior year there was like a Mario Kart group that they started, and it ended up really taking off, and every night like at the Cougar Den they were meeting up and playing Mario Kart. So if there's something that interests you that maybe isn't there for you, you can go ahead and make it yourself. So that's really nice.
Yeah. And I think some questions are rolling in. So Bianca, why don't you read them aloud in case someone else has those questions?
So we did have, what is the worship services and chapel life like?
Yeah, definitely. So, again, we are a Christian university, so that religious component is present and available on campus if you want to partake. It's never forced upon you, or you don't have to partake if you don't choose to. But we offer chapel every day between 11 and 11:20. So it's a 20-minute good message of the day, kind of gets you going. And at that time, we also block out any work and classes so that if you do want to partake, you certainly can. But if you don't, like myself, I would sometimes use that time to grab lunch. You also certainly can do so as well. And then we have spiritual clubs as well. I know one of my favorites was a service to Chicago. So serving a lot of the homeless, a lot of the need that we have in the city of Chicago. And then there are other plenty of either worship opportunities in chapel or different clubs. We have a pastor on campus, a deaconess. So if you need that support in the spiritual aspect, you definitely can have that as well.
Yes. And then do we have a criminology program?
Yeah, definitely. So we do have our criminal justice program for anyone looking to do criminal justice. I always encourage my students, if they're coming to Concordia, to add either a double major or add a minor in sociology and psychology. As a criminal justice major, you also get policing certification. So if later on you're thinking about going into that law enforcement, you'll have that good background. And then adding sociology or psychology to that, you also have a different lens, a different aspect to it, because you've either studied the community, especially Chicago being a melting pot, so diverse. Studying sociology kind of gives you that other lens to dive a little bit more into criminal justice. It also is a very hands-on program. One of our professors in there, she actually worked at the police academy in Chicago for a couple of years, and so now she's a professor here at Concordia, and so she really brings a lot of that knowledge to the program. She also has a lot of field trips, and I know that those were my favorite as a student in elementary school. We have a lot of field trips, and then the internship component, typically sometime your senior year, so that you can now put it all together in practice. We have some really awesome alum stories. We have actually an alum who works at the Oak Park Police Department. So again, we will prepare you with the knowledge of the book, but also with the hands-on experiences.
All right. And then next question is, we kind of already touched on it, but still, do you have to be Christian to go here? And what is the difference between a religious school and just a normal university?
Yeah, that's actually a really good school. So no, you do not have to be Christian to attend Concordia. I personally wasn't of the Christian background or of the religious affiliation that Concordia was, but I definitely still enjoy my experience. The difference is, that's a really good question as you're going through the college process. A lot of the private institutions, so Concordia, Dominican, DePaul, Loyola, a lot of those private schools have some type of religious affiliation. For most of the times, it's either Christian or Catholic. The schools that do not have a religious affiliation, and if that's something that you're certain that you don't want in the college experience, or at your university as a whole, then lean maybe towards the public schools. So the UIC, U of I, Illinois State, those public large institutions typically don't tend to have a religious affiliation of some kind.
All right, so any other questions?
Awesome. I will say my favorite part about campus, I know this wasn't mentioned here, was the subway. food, like the subway is awesome, especially like on those late night studies. They stayed open, and you could just grab a sub if you forgot to eat during the whole day. And then we also have a Starbucks on campus. I'm a huge coffee drinker, so that Starbucks can make my little frappuccinos. But then we have like our big cafeteria, which is buffet style. I know food is sometimes an important factor. For a lot of you guys as you're going through the college process, but we have our buffet style, and then we have our different, I like to call them like mini Walgreenses, because you get to buy like your typical snacks, and you're like, if you need a Tylenol, because yes, classes will give you headache. So you can grab some of those essentials in our little shops throughout campus as well.
All right, and then we have another question coming in. Do we offer sports medicine?
Oh, that's a very good question. So our sports medicine is built within our exercise science, and with our exercise science and with our sports and fitness program. So if you do a combination of those, again, that's one of the perks of Concordia, is that you can do a combination of multiple programs without adding additional time or any extra cost. But if you do a mixture of our sports and fitness with our exercise science, which is probably the one that relates most to sports medicine, that's going to give you a really good combination of the sport classes, but then also the anatomy, physiology aspect of sports medicine. And that's something you could definitely dive in a little bit more with your admission counselor. If you haven't scanned that code, make sure you do, because again, that is something that your counselor can get you in touch with that professor in that field, or even get you to sit in on a class so you can kind of hear what that conversation is like.
Next question is it a diverse university?
Yeah, so kind of touching back to the point that Concordia is a Hispanic serving institution. We actually got that designation, that recognition, because of our student body population. So about 40 to 45% of our students are Hispanic or Latinos. And then we have another about like 15-20% are African Americans. We also have a really large population of international students. So you might come across a student, like last year, I remember a student from El Salvador, and her and I just really clicked right away because we both spoke Spanish, and we just hanged out a lot on campus. So yeah, the diversity on campus is there. But then also the fact that we're so close to Chicago, and if you're not from Chicago, Chicago is just a diverse city, and so there's plenty to do, plenty to eat. Whether you're looking to explore other food, other cultures, you definitely can have that on campus and off campus. On campus, one of my favorite things right now is Hispanic Heritage Month. So we had our multicultural office gave us churros. They're soon going to be celebrating Day of the Dead. So we celebrate our students on campus as well, because we want you to feel welcome, accepted on your campus here at Concordia. So we definitely do all of the celebrations as well.
Next, we have how are the study abroad programs?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point that I didn't mention. So we do offer study abroad, and there's kind of like two components to that. So you maybe not have heard of other Concordias throughout the United States. So we do have a few other Concordia sisters. We have one in Wisconsin, we have one in Texas. So you can do a domestic study abroad program where you can go to another Concordia and do a semester there at their campus. Or if you are more of the adventurous kind, then you can do an international study abroad. So you can do anything like in Europe, Spain. We have some opportunities in Africa, and so there's different opportunities that you can do. That is something that you discuss with your academic advisor. That's typically reserved for after your sophomore year, just because we do want you to get 1 year under the belt. But then after that, your advisor will kind of place that into your 4-year roadmap time at Concordia. We also have, like, for if you're looking to do education, you can do your student teaching experience over in China. We have a it's in China, so you'll get immersed into the culture, but the school is run like American style. So even though you're student teaching abroad, you're still getting credit for that and getting counted here back on campus.
Yeah. So any last minute questions?
Yeah, any
Thoughts?
other questions? All very good questions.
Yeah.
Again, don't forget to scan that QR code so that you get in touch with your admission counselor, or if you're unsure, because it might be a little bit confusing about who your admission counselor is, just give our office a call, send an email, and then definitely follow us on our Instagram page. You can DM there if you have any questions, or you can just follow along anything exciting happening on campus. Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We thank you so much for taking an extra time to learn a little bit more about Concordia. We hope that you guys either apply, we see an application from you soon, or if you've already applied, we can't wait to review your application and get a decision to you out.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for joining this presentation about Concordia University, Chicago. After you close the window today, there will be a short 4-question survey. We really encourage you all to fill that out to help us continue to make this program as great as it is. Continue to sign up for more sessions through IACAC.org, and this recording will be available within a week. So if you need some of those really hot QR codes to find out who your counselor is, or you just want to relive this presentation again, feel free to check it out at IACAC.org. Thank you all again so much for joining. Enjoy your night.